Hi, welcome back to Open Hand Farm. I'm Penny, and I have my cup of coffee today because it's a little chilly out here, but it's time to get ready for Christmas. The first thing I need to do is get rid of all the pumpkins. I have plenty of pumpkin things going on, more pumpkins and fall decor. I had a squirrel friend that ate my decorative corn cobs, and apparently he tried to eat this pumpkin also. These pumpkins will be either fed to my chickens or put in my compost because it's a great compost generator. I'm also saving a few of the smaller ones to actually cut up and cook. I don't know if you have ever used these 3M hooks or not. They're these sticky things with a tab on them. You stick it to the back of this, then you stick that to the wall with the other side of the sticky stuff. And then if you want to take it off, you just pull this tab, and ideally it loosens it up and it just comes off the wall without doing any damage. Well, we have vinyl siding out here, and so I really didn't want to put any nails in it. For now, I'm just going to use one of these to hang the Christmas wreath. The wreath is hung and it seems to be holding well. I got this cute little fall sign from Aldi. I don't know if you have an Aldi in your area, but they have some really cute things throughout the year. I like the fact that the back of the sign has something on it too. I'm going to go ahead and hang this over my table. It's not really Christmassy, but that's okay. I'm using a 3M hook for it also. I think I might use some paint, the color of the walls, and paint that, or I might tie a bow and put over it. We'll see what I decide. I'm going to put a little tree in that chair and see what I think about that. I decided for my lighting on this tree, I'm just going to use some little bitty fairy lights because I have lights on the house, I have lights around the door, and I have lights on the wreath, so I don't need this to be a big bold light. I just want to illuminate it a little bit. So I'm going to fluff this tree up, make it look a little better, it looks pretty worn, and add the lights. Some people tend to miss this step, but it just brings your tree, it can make a kind of dull, old looking tree look so much better if you just make sure the stems are open. I twisted some of the greenery around the chair to secure it so that if it got windy, it won't blow off. Now I'll add the lights. I might have to use 2 sets of them. We'll see what I think. I do want to put this part in the back so that I can reach it, but also so that it doesn't show. I have this little table right here that I need to decorate. So I think I'm going to use this crock and just put some artificial greenery in. I wanted to use some sort of evergreen, so I found these at Old Time Pottery for $1.49. So I'm going to use 3 of those. So I'm going to bend them a little bit so that they get in there further, kind of fill in better. Yeah. I could add some of these little red things that were $1.99. Let's see what we think about that. Kind of separate the berries a little bit. So I like to use plates and trays. I have these plates. They're kind of worn looking. I don't know how to look. I kind of like it. I think it'll work. I also have these mason jars. I bought these handles for them, and they just slide over the mason jar. And then I put some of those fairy lights in, and I tape the mechanism to the top of the lid before I put my ring on. Then if I want to light it, all I have to do is open it up and turn it on, and then close it all up again. I decided I want to put a ribbon on my little tree, so I have this wire ribbon, and I have this florist wire. I'm going to cut a piece of the florist wire, about a foot long, so that I have it to tie around my ribbon after I do it. I just have a little bit left on this spool, but I think it's going to be enough I can do it. I don't necessarily want a huge tail, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop, and then I'm going to take this ribbon and twist it and make another loop, and then twist it and make another loop, and twist it and make another loop, and just keep doing that. I think I can get that many loops. Okay, now I'm going to cut the end of that at an angle and take this wire ribbon. I'm going to lay it in the middle of all of my loops. On the back, I'm going to pull it tight and twist it. And you can, if you have a tighter, stronger wire, you could use that instead, but I think for what I'm doing here, this will be fine. So there are my 2 tails. These are my loops, and I can just arrange these, kind of pull them up and around, kind of adjust them like I want them, as well as that. Then put it on my tree. As you can see, I put some ribbon throughout the tree. I just twisted it in some of the little greenery spots and then put the bow on the top, and the tree is done. My battery's about to die, so I'm going to see if I can do this ribbon really quickly before it does. I want a fairly long tail, and I want my tail side out, so I'm twisting, and then I'm going to wrap this around it and give that a twist, trim my tail at an angle, and wire it on. I think I'm going to wire it around the jute and have it kind of be hanging out from around it also. So I have jute and ribbon. So I'm just wrapping it around and under the jute. Okay, and then there's my ribbon. And this will get wet or snowed on or whatever. It's kind of a burlap-like ribbon, so I think it will do okay. Now I'm just going to continue around the porch with these. And this is how it turned out. It's not real fancy, but I don't do real fancy. Then over here, we have some more of the fairy lights. I did end up putting a blanket on one of the chairs. And here's the wreath. This is what the fairy lights look like in the jar. And there's the little Christmas tree by the door.
Two years ago, we had a live Christmas tree and I needed to put lights on it, but didn't want the cord of the lights showing. So I ripped fabric strips and tied it around the cord to make a garland. And after Christmas, I put that around our windows and I really like it there, but I felt like our Christmas tree needed something like that this year. We have a new lit Christmas tree that I love, but I decided to just make a garland from tying fabric strips to a piece of jute and using that as a garland. So I'm going to show you how I did it. I started by picking some different fabrics that went together, and then on my cutting board I made 6-inch increments with tape, and then I just used my rotary cutter. You could use scissors, and just cut at the 6-inch measures until my piece of fabric was cut. It doesn't have to be completely straight. If I have little scraps of fabric, I stick it in this jar, and at some point I might use that for something. As you can see, I picked some cream color, some white color, some with a little bit of pattern in it, and it just makes a nice selection when you go to tie those on the jute. You can use different sizes scraps. As you can see here, some of that wasn't quite 6 inches. Now, after you cut your pieces, you want to cut vertically with the 6-inch side so that you have little ripping starts. Then all you have to do is pull at that little snip. They tear pretty easily. You could tear them in longer pieces and then cut them, but I didn't do that. This is a longer piece of fabric, but I went ahead and snipped it so that they would be 6 inches. And I found it easier to hold the fabric and snip it if I pinned it to my ironing board. You could also probably tape it to a tabletop. And as you can see, I'm not measuring these. They're about a 1/2 inch. Some are wider, some are narrower. It doesn't really matter. I was using snippers. If you've never used snippers, they're very easy. And this is what the edges look like after they're snipped. And then we're stuck with a pile of fabric strips. As you can see, they're kind of in piles of same color. So you just want to start mixing them up because you don't want to have to worry about which color to pick or choose from. You're just going to keep mixing until you get a nice colorful pile and then stick them in a basket. Now this is the jute that I used. It's fairly big, but you could use just about any size. I have a 7-foot tree, and I did a little bit of measuring and decided I needed to use 9 yards of jute. I laid the fabric out thinking maybe I need it this far apart. Well, then I soon realized that was way too far apart. So after I started tying it on, I decided to move it much closer. I ended up with it about a 1/2 inch away from each piece. You can play around with whatever looks best to you. You could also tie pieces of jute in between the pieces of fabric to change it up. I found the easiest way to tie them on was to tape down the top of the string and then tape down the bottom of the string on the table. This gave me a tight rope to be able to tie the pieces around. I just started tying and it went pretty quickly. After a while, I figured out that I could tape it to the edge of my table and then I could sit down and work. That went even better. I took the rope and put it under my foot, and that helped hold it tight. And then I just started tying again. You'll notice that I'm not sitting and picking certain colors out. I'm just drawing one out of the basket. And if it does go like too many in a row without a certain color, if you have color variety in there, you might just grab one and throw it in. So here I am. I've used up all of my torn material and I still have jute left, but I'm not sure that I need more put on it. So I'm going to go ahead and take it over to the tree and see what it covers. I will tell you that I did have to tear about 4 more pieces of fabric and tie them on after I started putting them on the tree. When it's time to put ornaments on the tree, I like to organize them in types. I have my old ornaments from my mother-in-law that she got from her parents. I have the colored ornaments that I want to add specific color to the tree. I have angels. I have shiny ones. I have just all these different kinds. The sign, bigger ones. Then I have the odd ones that I have one of each for specific reasons. And then I have these birds that my daughter and I made several years ago, and I like to put those on the tree. So now I have a garland of fabric, and last year I made this garland of jute and dehydrated orange slices. So I will take one pile at a time and place them throughout the tree before I go to the next pile. That way I know that I have them dispersed evenly as far as type goes. I wanted to show you that when I'm hanging ornaments on, especially these old ornaments that could get knocked off and broken, I actually take the hook and wrap it around the stem of the branch so that I know it's secure. Don't forget to get around the back of the tree too. And now it's time for the garland. I did not wrap this totally around the tree. I just went towards the back and then drape it back around because I knew no one was going to see it and I wasn't sure that I had enough to do that with. After you get it wrapped, make sure you step back and make sure it looks evenly placed for you. Now it's time for the orange garland. And as you can tell, I just took orange slices and dehydrated them and then poked the ribbon through to tie it to the jute, and then stuck another piece of ribbon in between the orange slices. It does like to get tangled, so I am going to need a little help with this one. Again, step back and make sure you like it. Time to add the birds. My 2.5-year-old granddaughter was there and woke up after I decorated the tree, and she just needed to help a little bit. This is Genesee. She liked looking at her reflection in the ball.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please push the subscribe button or ring the bell and you'll get notifications when my next video is up. Blessings to you until the next time.